Ifunaya was a beautiful woman who lived in a peaceful village. Her smile lit up the hearts of everyone around her. Though many men wanted to marry her, she was waiting for someone special, someone who would sweep her off her feet and treat her like a queen. Every night, she prayed that true love would come her way. One fateful evening, as she walked by the river, she met a handsome man named Edward. He was charming and spoke sweet words that melted her heart. Edward claimed to be a prince from a faraway land. He promised her a life of luxury and happiness. Ifunaya's heart raced with joy. She believed her prayers had finally been answered. Days turned into weeks, and Edward continued to visit Ifunaya. He showered her with gifts, told her stories of his kingdom, and made her feel like the most special woman in the world. Her friends warned her to be careful, but Ifunaya's heart was already captured by Edward's charm. One sunny afternoon, Edward knelt before Ifunaya and asked for her hand in marriage. His eyes sparkled with love, and his smile was gentle. Ifunaya's heart pounded as she said yes. She was ready to begin a new life with the man of her dreams, unaware that her life was about to change forever. The entire village rejoiced when Edward and Ifunaya's wedding day arrived. The ceremony was grand, with colorful decorations, traditional dances, and delicious food. Ifunaya wore a stunning white gown that made her look like a queen. She felt like she was living in a dream. As Edward placed the ring on her finger, Ifunaya's heart was filled with happiness. Her parents watched with pride, believing their daughter was marrying a kind and noble prince. But hidden beneath Edward's warm smile was a terrible secret that no one could see. After the wedding, Edward took Ifunaya to his kingdom. The journey was long and mysterious, with thick forests and strange sounds echoing in the distance. Ifunaya noticed that the air grew colder the closer they got to Edward's land. A chill ran down her spine, but she brushed off her worries. When they arrived, Ifunaya's eyes widened. The palace was enormous, but it felt strangely empty. There were no servants, and the atmosphere was eerily quiet. Edward assured her that everything was fine, but Ifunaya's heart whispered otherwise. That night, Ifunaya felt uneasy in the grand but silent palace. Edward was kind to her, but there was a strange feeling in the air. As she explored the palace, she stumbled upon a locked door at the end of a dark hallway. Her curiosity grew, but Edward warned her never to open that door. Unable to resist, Ifunaya waited until Edward fell asleep and tiptoed toward the door. She found a key hidden in Edward's chamber and unlocked it. What she saw inside made her blood freeze, bones and remains of women, their eyes filled with terror. Her heart pounded with fear. Ifunaya rushed back to her chamber, her mind spinning with horror. She couldn't believe what she had seen. Her perfect prince was hiding a deadly secret. But before she could think of a plan, Edward appeared, his smile replaced with a sinister grin. "You disobeyed me, Ifunaya," Edward growled, his voice echoing unnaturally. His body twisted and transformed before her eyes. His handsome face melted away, revealing a terrifying creature with glowing red eyes and sharp claws. Ifunaya's heart raced. She was married to a monster. Ifunaya tried to run, but the palace walls seemed to close in around her. Edward, now fully transformed into the monstrous spirit, stood between her and the door. His voice echoed through the air. "You belong to me now," he growled, his sharp teeth glinting in the dim light. Tears filled Ifunaya's eyes as she realized she was trapped. She had walked into a nightmare, and there was no way out. The once beautiful palace was now a prison. Ifunaya had to think fast if she wanted to survive. Desperate for answers, Ifunaya remembered the stories her grandmother used to tell her about guardian spirits. Late one night, she whispered a prayer, begging for help. To her surprise, a faint glow filled the room, and a gentle voice spoke. "I have heard your cry, Ifunaya." The spirit introduced herself as Adana, a protector of women who had fallen victim to the monster. Adana revealed that Edward had deceived many women before her, and their souls were trapped in the palace. "You are strong, Ifunaya," Adana whispered. "You can break this curse." Adana guided Ifunaya to the ancient books hidden in the palace library. Ifunaya spent sleepless nights reading the pages, hoping to find a way to defeat the monster. After many nights, she discovered a secret. Edward's power was tied to a cursed gemstone hidden deep in the heart of the palace. If you destroy the gemstone, his power will weaken, Adana's voice echoed in her mind. But getting to the gemstone was no easy task. It was protected by powerful magic, and Ifunaya would need all her strength and courage to reach it. Ifunaya knew she couldn't confront Edward directly. She had to be clever. She devised a plan to make Edward believe she was still under his control. Pretending to love him, she gained his trust and waited for the right moment to strike. But time was running out. The souls of the women trapped in the palace were growing weaker, and Ifunaya knew that if she failed, she would become one of them. The stakes had never been higher. Edward noticed a change in Ifunaya. Though she smiled and spoke sweetly, he sensed something different about her. His eyes narrowed with suspicion, and he began to watch her closely. Ifunaya knew she had to be careful. One wrong move, and her plan would fall apart. To keep Edward distracted, Ifunaya acted like a devoted wife. She prepared his favorite meals and spent time with him. But deep inside, her mind was focused on one thing: finding the cursed gemstone before it was too late. One evening, while Edward was away hunting, Ifunaya slipped into the forbidden part of the palace. She followed the whispers of the trapped souls, guiding her to a hidden chamber. Her heart pounded as she pushed open the heavy door and saw the cursed gemstone glowing in the darkness. The power of the gemstone was overwhelming, but Ifunaya knew she had to be strong. As she reached for it, a wave of energy knocked her back. The gemstone was heavily guarded by magic. She needed a stronger plan to destroy it. As Ifunaya wandered through the palace, she heard faint whispers echoing through the halls. They were the voices of the trapped women, calling her name. "Help us, Ifunaya," they pleaded. Their souls were weak, but their spirits still carried hope. Ifunaya knelt and promised them, "I will free you." The women's spirits, though faint, began to guide her. They showed her secret passageways and hidden rooms that Edward had long forgotten. With their help, Ifunaya grew stronger and more determined. Edward grew impatient with Ifunaya's sudden independence. He set a trap to test her loyalty. One night, he pretended to leave the palace, but stayed in the shadows, watching her every move. Ifunaya, unaware of his presence, sneaked toward the hidden chamber. As she placed her hand on the door, Edward emerged from the darkness. His eyes burned with anger. "You dare betray me?" he roared, his monstrous form towering over her. Ifunaya's heart raced. Her secret was out. Edward dragged Ifunaya back to her chamber, his anger shaking the walls. "You tried to destroy me," he hissed, his claws brushing against her face. Ifunaya's courage faltered, but she refused to give up. She stared into his fiery eyes, determined not to show fear. "Why do you do this?" she asked, her voice trembling. For a moment, Edward's rage softened, and a flicker of pain crossed his face. But his heart had been consumed by darkness for too long. "You cannot save me, Ifunaya," he whispered, his voice filled with sorrow. Locked in her chamber once again, Ifunaya felt the weight of hopelessness press down on her. But as she stared out of the small window, she heard a soft voice echo in her heart. It was Adana, the guardian spirit. "You still have the strength, Ifunaya. Do not give up." Ifunaya wiped her tears and steadied her heart. She remembered the secret passageways the trapped souls had shown her. There was still a way to reach the gemstone and break Edward's curse. She had to move carefully, for Edward's watchful eyes were everywhere. Late at night, while Edward slept, Ifunaya whispered a prayer to Adana. A soft glow filled the room, and the spirit appeared, her presence comforting Ifunaya's heart. "The time is near," Adana said gently. "You must strike when the moon is full. That is when Edward's power is at its weakest." Ifunaya nodded, determination filling her eyes. "I will not fail," she whispered. Adana placed her hand on Ifunaya's heart, filling her with strength and courage. "You are stronger than you know," the spirit said before fading into the night. Days passed, and Ifunaya noticed Edward's power growing stronger. The once quiet palace now echoed with his deep growls. The air grew colder, and shadows moved unnaturally. The souls trapped in the palace whispered warnings, urging Ifunaya to act quickly. Edward became more possessive, keeping Ifunaya close at all times. He sensed her change and grew suspicious once again. Ifunaya knew she had to act fast before Edward's darkness consumed the entire palace, and her along with it. While exploring the palace one evening, Ifunaya discovered an old servant named Marcus. He had served Edward before the curse consumed him. Marcus had been loyal to the real prince, but after the monster took over, he was forced to remain silent. "I know where the gemstone is," Marcus whispered, "but it is guarded by deadly magic." Ifunaya's eyes filled with hope and fear. "Will you help me?" she asked. Marcus nodded, his eyes filled with determination. "For the prince I once served, I will help you." With Marcus guiding her, Ifunaya made her way through secret tunnels that led to the forbidden chamber. The air grew heavy with dark energy as they approached the heart of the palace. The door to the chamber was sealed with ancient symbols, glowing with a menacing light. Marcus placed his hand on the symbols, chanting softly. The glow dimmed, and the door creaked open. Inside, the cursed gemstone pulsed with a deep red glow, radiating evil. Ifunaya's heart pounded. This was the key to Edward's power. As Ifunaya stepped closer to the gemstone, a powerful force pushed her back. A deep voice echoed through the chamber. "Only the one with a pure heart can destroy me," it warned. Ifunaya's hands trembled, but she remembered the souls counting on her. Summoning all her strength, Ifunaya stepped forward again. Her heart beat faster, but she refused to give up. The energy of the gemstone fought against her, but Ifunaya's determination burned brighter. "I will end this curse," she whispered, her voice steady. Edward sensed the disturbance and appeared in the chamber, his monstrous form towering over Ifunaya. "What are you doing?" he roared, his voice shaking the walls. His red eyes burned with fury as he realized what Ifunaya had found. "Let me go, Edward," Ifunaya pleaded, her voice filled with pain. But Edward's heart was consumed by darkness. "You cannot leave," he growled. "If you destroy the gemstone, you destroy me." Tears filled Ifunaya's eyes. Could she really end his life to free herself? Edward's monstrous form charged toward Ifunaya, but Marcus stepped in to protect her. "Run, Ifunaya!" Marcus shouted as he tried to hold Edward back. But Edward's strength was too great. He threw Marcus aside, his fury focused on Ifunaya. Ifunaya's heart broke seeing the man she once loved consumed by darkness. "Edward, fight it," she begged. "You're not this monster." But Edward's claws reached for her, and Ifunaya knew that words alone could not save him anymore. She had to end the curse. With trembling hands, Ifunaya reached for the gemstone. Edward's roar shook the chamber as he lunged toward her. But before he could stop her, Ifunaya smashed the gemstone against the ground. A blinding light filled the room, and a powerful force knocked her to the floor. Edward screamed as the curse broke apart. His monstrous form writhed in agony as the evil within him was destroyed. Ifunaya's heart pounded, but she knew she had done what was necessary. The souls trapped in the palace began to rise, their freedom finally restored. Edward's monstrous form collapsed as the curse left his body. His breathing slowed, and the darkness faded from his eyes. "Ifunaya," he whispered, his voice weak and filled with sorrow. His human form returned, but he was no longer the prince she had married. "I'm sorry," Edward murmured, his eyes filled with regret. Ifunaya knelt beside him, her heart breaking. "It's over," she whispered softly. But Edward's body grew colder. The curse had drained his life, and there was nothing left to save. As Edward's body lay still, a soft glow filled the chamber. The souls of the women he had trapped for so long finally found peace. They smiled at Ifunaya, their eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you," they whispered as they faded into the light. Adana's voice echoed one last time. "You have broken the curse, Ifunaya. You have saved many lives." Ifunaya's heart was heavy with sorrow, but she knew she had done what was right. The palace, once filled with darkness, now stood silent and free. The morning sun broke through the darkness, shining down on the now empty palace. Ifunaya stood at the gates, her heart filled with bittersweet emotions. She had survived the nightmare, but the scars would remain forever. Marcus stood beside her, his face filled with quiet respect. "You have saved us all, Ifunaya," he said softly. But Ifunaya's heart longed for peace. She knew it was time to leave the past behind and find a new beginning. Ifunaya returned to her village, where her family and friends welcomed her with open arms. But the woman who returned was no longer the same. She carried the weight of her experiences in her heart, but her spirit was stronger than ever. Though many asked about her journey, Ifunaya spoke little of it. She had faced unimaginable darkness and emerged victorious. Her story would live on, but her heart needed time to heal. She was finally free, but freedom came at a great price. As time passed, Ifunaya's story spread across the villages. Mothers told their daughters of the brave woman who faced a monster and broke a deadly curse. Ifunaya's name became a symbol of courage, reminding others that love, strength, and sacrifice could conquer even the darkest evil. Though her heart still carried the memories, Ifunaya found peace knowing that her story had given hope to others. She had faced a monster and won, not just for herself, but for the countless souls who had suffered before her. Her legacy would live on for generations to come. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, tell us what you think of Ifunaya's journey in the comments.